Y'all got the email, man. I'm about to go in the chat right now.
Welcome and thank you for choosing freeconferencecall.com. You're helping people around the world communicate for free. There is one other participant in the conference. The recording has started.
All right, peace and love. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You can hear me through the chat. What's up, Kane?
What up, guys?
How you feeling, man? Hey, good to see you, man. Man, I ain't stopped working.
Hey, me neither, bro.
I know. I see you moving and grooving, man. Hey, listen. I know I haven't been able to respond and stuff, but hey, I love it. I love when you send me texts like that, though. Just know that. That makes me feel good. That's why I'm still. Yeah, I can hear you good, man. I'm about to go in on some shit. This some shit that I want you to know, though. But like when I'm studying, you can see the screen and everything.
We're good.
All right. So like when I'm studying stuff, like when I first came across, what I'm coming across right now, what I'm about to go over, is in I read the Clearfield Doctrine, and then I read the Behold the Pale Horse by William Cooper. Have you read that?
I skimmed to the online version, and I was going to go to Barnes & Noble to say, get I called it.
I can get you the. You want the ebook?
No. I don't like ebooks.
I feel you. You know, a lot of the older people I rock with, they print that shit off. They drop that bread and they print it off.
I was gifted a printer because I was talking about I wanted it.
Yeah. Right. It's a book, man. You can get it on Amazon too.
Nah, for sure.
Yeah, that's where I had got a lot of my good reads. But I was on like a little watch list, and soon afterwards, any books I was getting in, they was putting that on the list you couldn't read. You couldn't get in.
You was in a watch.
Yeah, man. They watched that. They monitored everything I did. You know what I'm saying?
Nah. I mean, it's a couple books that I would say before I had bread, and when I had bread, I searched it up. I couldn't find it online. I had a whole list of like 60 of them. To the point where it was like my treatment. I wasn't treatment.
Right. But like right, the YouTube tripping. So my apologies. I'm gonna keep refreshing it though. But I'm on the call. Shit, I just give everybody the number. Fuck it. I don't even know the number.
Yeah, see, you know, so many kind of people listen to me.
Right.
I had two homeboys tell me they don't need to sit for the Zoom call to go with the shit that he doing.
Yeah, do that shit. Do that shit. Do that shit. You know, that's what I'm about to start doing anyway. It's just like I need to create motherfuckers out here that understand this shit, applying this shit, and host their own little seminars, because I can't.
They go with me. Next day, so I can start getting service and speak. I'm trying to figure out it.
Right. So you doing the right steps because you already doing it. You feel me?
Yeah, for sure.
So you doing it. Applied knowledge is how you really learn. Like when I started helping people, that's how I started learning this shit. I'm like, oh shit, it ain't gonna take me no time to do this for myself. But it's just all about taking the time and stopping and doing it. A lot of people don't do a lot of shit for themselves because somebody already has something like a program for them. You follow me? Yeah, that shit's easy. Boom.
Hey, yeah, big praise on me. Like, really tough. Same shit. I see what really happened.
There we go, man. If y'all follow me on the YouTube, man, because this phone tripping. Cause I got like 8 devices going and shit. You know, I be watching my own shit, my own lives too. Straight up. Get that paper. Boom, I'll put it in the comments, I'll put it in the chat. All right. Plus, if y'all join online, y'all go to that. I make sure y'all get the files that I'm going over. Serious shit. But peace and love, world. You're not rocking to the sounds and vibrations of your boy, Malik Kilam, also known as DonKilam.com. And as always, prosperity is your birthright. Hey, I was having a little fun in the chat. But like, for real, look, man, I'm not going to talk about other men, especially where it says, like the title of my YouTube, I'll put status, standing, and trust class, a la Spake. I have made you as God to Pharaoh. So don't ask me about no other man, okay? For real. I don't get on my knees and pray to no other man. Don't do no shit like that. You follow me? I hope that makes sense to y'all. I'm not trying to talk bad about anybody, nothing like that. I just don't talk about other men. And you're not supposed to praise any. If you're going to praise a man, you need to praise yourself. And if you have a man, you're a woman, you need to praise your man. That's how I look at it. You want to be. They got a YouTube channel, go check their shit out if you like them. That's just how I am, man. That's how I feel. That's how I was brought up. And the people who brought me up like that, you know. Just like when you talk about prophets' names, when they bring their name up, you say, peace be upon them. That's it. Keep it pushing. So peace be upon them. We're all servants of our Creator. But I need people to look at this, man. So like, I can't find it, but I believe it was Dick Gregory, if you know who Dick Gregory is, who brought me across this executive order where they was I can't find it, man. They did a study, the United States Corporation. Now, this for educational, informational purposes. I'm not a licensed attorney, tax expert, okay? And I'm high right now. I faced 2 blunts before I came. So look, check this out. So you're gonna want to do your own research on this, okay? So check this out. They did a study. Like, how long would it take to get the black people and put them in all the old Walmarts in a concentration camp? And the study said it would take less than 8 hours. You hear me? It would take less than 8 hours to get all the black people and put them inside all the old Walmarts. So you gotta understand there was a reason. There was a reason they went from regular Walmarts to super Walmarts. There was like contracts or something, man. And they did an executive order. And like the stuff that I've seen, like firsthand stuff that I've read and seen, like this shit is real. And it fucks me up. Now, the first time I read about the colors on the mailboxes, so we put on there, check your mailbox. Some have said there has been placed unobstructed colored dots on people's mailboxes so that when martial law is declared, foreign troops serving the New World Order will know what's to be done with the people at each address. A blue dot on your mailbox, you're taken to a FEMA camp. Pink, you'll be used for slave labor, and red, you are shot in the head immediately. Serious shit. You ever heard this shit, man? Anybody that's out there, like, let me know if you've ever heard this, man. If you're following along with me.
Yeah, my bad.
No, you good, you good.
I ain't heard of this the second order, but I heard my mailbox and really they was doing something to Walmart. I ain't never gonna steal it.
You know, so like, I'm gonna tell y'all something, man. I'm not saying this is the right thing, right? So when I was selling things door to door, right, I'd be like, there's 100 of us out here. You don't want to hear this all day, right? This is how I would sell shit, right? There's 100 boys and 100 girls out here. We're in a contest. And you don't want to hear this 100 times, right? So I'm gonna give you this bug off sticker and they will leave you alone. And it'd be one of these colored dots. Like I usually do like blue or something though. So I used to put blue dots on people's mailboxes. Sounds crazy, just to sell my shit. So, but I didn't know about this. I was selling magazine subscriptions. I was 19. So this is why this caught my attention. You follow me? So when I seen this, I read it in Behold the Pale Horse. And if you're following me, I just put Behold the Pale Horse in the chat. And something else I'm gonna go over called Lawfully Yours. And then I put a picture in there. Walmart, martial law, Islam. So, but it says the closures of thousands of Walmarts across America were linked to the U.S. Army's Jade Helm military exercise, which began the summer of 2015, which involved soldiers trying to operate undetected amongst civilian populations in areas where residents will be advised to report any suspicious activity. The imposition of martial law and the construction of so-called FEMA domes all across America. See, there was live reports before Hurricane Katrina. Because Hurricane Katrina, man, they say it was, they controlled the weather and shit through something called HARP. And weeks before Hurricane Katrina, because they knew it was coming, they had soldiers stationed places and then mothers crying to get their kids. And whatever soldiers buckled, they got rid of them. Like, this is serious shit. This is stuff they do all the time. And other stuff, I believe in, because I travel a lot. And I can see that a lot of times, especially Washington, D.C., it appears to me that, and St. Louis, Missouri, it appears to me that it's built on top of a town. Like there's an underground towns. Like they're built on, like most of these towns out here are built on top of fucking old towns. And I found an article. It says, I'm about to tell you a fact that might blow your socks off. So I advise you to sit down. There are miles upon miles of underground tunnels in America. However, no one is aware of their purpose. I'm going to discuss two of the theories of these underground tunnels having to do with natural disasters and Walmart FEMA camps. Yes, you read that right, Walmart. Buckle up and keep an open mind. Also, remember, this is for fun and these are theories, so do not take them as facts. Natural disasters are one of the most terrifying events, if you ask me. They come out of nowhere. And even though we have technology built to help us prepare, they still seem to destroy everything. Imagine being on a vacation, you and your family anticipate for months, and you're on the beach and the water retreats back from the shore and boom, a tsunami. No one can prepare for such a traumatic natural disasters, where according to some theorists, this could be a purpose for the underground tunnels. Many believe that the government built these underground tunnels so during a natural disaster, Americans can swoop in and help us escape by shoving us all in these underground tunnels. Whoever wrote this says, I think it's a tad off, don't you? I think that if the government created these tunnels for us, then they would inform us about the entrance. If anything, the government would reserve spots for the most important people, such as those of the White House and who are rich enough. This is a theory is because the government already has underground safe houses for themselves. So these weird tunnels that stretch all over the United States are not for them. They would not be for us. So who are they? I need y'all to know this stuff, man. So like, listen, if there's a big event out here that's gonna wipe out stuff, man, they already got escape plans and shit. They could be there, man. Send their clones like Hitler had clones. Y'all better look up this shit, man. But it says there are 5 Walmart shutdowns in 5 vastly different states for plumbing issues. So it says take a second look and look at Walmart and the underground tunnels. Yep, that is scary. It says Walmart has underground tunnels. Walmart was shut down for some plumbing issues. It was only supposed to be for 6 months, but Walmart gave the employees, only gave them a 5-day warning that they would be out of a job. Then those Walmart locations never reopened. The people living around those 5 areas said they would hear loud booming at night. The other fact is that all 5 of these places are directly on top of the underground tunnel map. Here is where it gets scary. When these stores were under construction, the whole place was gutted and they had all the windows blacked out while police officers patrolled and guarded the entrances. When curiosity sparked among the people and they attempted to discover secret information, police escorted these individuals off the property. These individuals were caught taking any pictures or video, they would have to delete them or hand over the device. Even scarier is that the tops of the building had weird metal spikes pointing up, seeming to describe barbed wire. People also noticed that the garden centers looked like holding cells, and that the cameras were facing odd directions in the building. I need y'all to understand, man. Look, y'all might be like, what's this have to do with the status correction? Listen, when shit hits the fan, when new order comes in, the first thing they do is order all foreign troops, all foreign people, everything foreign off the land because you're foreign. I need y'all to understand this. This is law. I can't make this shit up. And so if you understand John Hanson, first thing John Hanson did when he took control and took power, he ordered all foreign troops off the soil. And anything foreign had to go. Serious shit. Many believe that the government is turning these into FEMA camps, which is a disaster relief organization. When a large disaster strikes, the organization goes in and attempts to help the people and control the situation. It's considered Federal Emergency Management Agency. Some believe that America is preparing for a major disaster destined to happen and it will declare martial law and use these FEMA camps. Last fact before I let you do your own research and let your mind go wild, martial law is when the government places military control over everything. No more rights, no more anything. You do as the military tells you to do. Only the president can decide when to give the people back their laws and rights. So what do you think? Is America preparing for something awful to happen? Do they already know what it is? Why are they not telling us? Should we be taking more steps to check this theory or a fact? That was just an article, man, y'all. Now, when you start studying martial law, this is why I feel like status correction is the most important. See, I started with status correction because of this stuff, man. But it led me to trust and business and a lot of different things. Now, we got under the Behold the Pale White Horse. See, some people call it the King Alfred plan. So let's Google that. Let's Google King Alfred. This is, man, I gotta start putting members only. I gotta remember to start doing that. Now, King Alfred plan. Some people call it Rex 84. It's called Rex 84 and Behold the Pale Horse. Islam Chief Kim and Ra. So King Alfred plan, codename Rex 84. Totally repugnant to the United States Republic Constitution for people under its protection. Now, also start research FEMA. Like if your status is corrected, you're straight. You follow me? Don't go in there saying you're black. Now, I feel like you can do something else, because if you want to declare that you're black, I would put a definition of what black means to you and what it is. You know, that it's not death. It's not 3/5 of a person. That's the things I would do. I would put a definition with it. Because I always put I'm a living soul sometimes when I update my status. I mean, I've done it. I've updated my status under so many different, I've done it under lots of different things. But I never use natural person. I never use the person word. I never use improper persona. None of that. You got to learn how to think in the here and now jurisdiction. Always here and now. So this says the plan first appeared in John A. Williams' 1967 novel, The Man Who Cried. I am a fictionalized account of the life and death. All right, so the King Alfred plan, codename Rex 84, in the event of widespread and continued and coordinated racial disturbances in the United States, King Alfred, at the discretion of the president, is to be put into action immediately. Participating federal agencies, National Security Council, Department of Justice, Central Intelligence Agency, Department of Defense, Federal Bureau of Investigation, Department of Interior. And you got to understand this too, man. So, and you should look up the Department of Interior, because that's who the most of the tribes have their trust and contracts with, is with the Department of Interior. But like, we'll talk about, like, you got to understand when they always create these crises, all right? Everything is make-believe. Everything is fiction. It's all a game, okay? So when they create these crises, and then they create the problem, you have to come to them for the solution. And it's always been like that. So like with Osama bin Laden, when they kept talking about him, the CIA had no record of him. Look this shit up, man. It's always a war on something. And then in the midst of this war, this is when they strip away your rights. But they go through great lengths to tell you the truth, man. They go through great lengths to tell you the truth, because you're God the Pharaoh. If they don't tell you the truth, your whole subconscious will jump out your body and swallow them whole. So they go through great lengths to plan these things. And then they go by covert, and they get your consent. Because you can't never go against free will. So look, I'm gonna show you one way. One way they get your consent. Everybody that's following me usually knows about words. The words. So like when it came and took over your land and shit like that, right? They ask you, did you suffer? You know, they do that now. Did you suffer? If you say you suffered, that means you consented to whatever it was. Because you got to look up what suffer means in the legal dictionary. Does a lot of people understand that? So look, the legal definition of suffer: to admit, allow, or permit. Come on now.
Hell no.
Nah, look, bro. I can't make this up, man. Can you see it? Is it on your screen? Hey, why don't you read it to me then? Why don't you read it to me?
It say to admit, allow, or permit. The term suffer is used to convey the idea of acquiescence, passivity, indifference, or abstention from preventative action, as opposed to the taking of an affirmative step.
I need you to know. So if you ever go in there, they're gonna ask you if you suffered. Did you suffer? And you say, yeah, you allowed that shit to happen. That's what suffer means. And I'm gonna put this in the comments for y'all, man, so y'all can let me see if I can put it in the chat. Yeah, I can. I can put it in the chat. But that's the definition of suffer. If you're following along, I'm gonna put it in the comment box too. Definition of suffer. Look, I'm trying to tell you, man, if you was speaking in a certain jurisdiction or a certain language, so one was called I want to say it's called, I can't even pronounce it right. It's called Gaelic or something. Yeah. Most people that was speaking a certain form of Gaelic, because you know these were dark people, right? Coming from Scotland and Ireland, right? They were speaking a certain form. As soon as they heard them speaking it in public, they had permission to kill them. All you gotta do is study your history, man. It'll lead you back to all this shit. But now back to the King Alfred Plan. Participating state agencies under federal jurisdiction is the National Guard units and the state police. Participating local agencies is the city police. You know, they're doing a lot right now. So they're implementing things to put AI as the police right now. With everything going on. And you better understand, they're giving away all this money and shit. You claiming you black. You do not want to say you're black right now. I'm trying to tell you. They're setting you up for something else. There's always tricks up their sleeve. Ain't nothing free with them. So even before 1954, when the Supreme Court of the United States of America declared unconstitutional separate education and recreational facilities for racial unrest, just in 1954, that's not even that long ago, and this court had become very nearly a part of the American way of life. But that way of life was repugnant to most Americans. Since 1954, however, that unrest and discord have broken out into widespread violence, which increasingly have placed the peace and stability of the nation in dire jeopardy. And like I need y'all to understand, like they set up a lot of this stuff too. They made you fight for equal rights in the school. Like a lot of that shit was staged. You follow me? Like we was not fighting for rights in the school. They just made it appear that way. Because that's how they control us.
It's a stage and we're just actors.
Everything's a game with these people though. But you know, we follow suit. When we see things, we follow suit. I see you. So look at this as Department of Interior. Under King Alfred, the nation has been divided into 10 regions. In case of emergency, minority members will be evacuated from the cities by federal National Guard units. Minorities. So this is why it's important you update your status. Federal National Guard units, local and state police, and if necessary, by units of the regular armed forces using public and military transportation, and detained in nearby military installations until a further course of action has been decided. And there goes the different regions: Capital Region, Northeast Region, Southeast Region, Great Lakes Region, South Central Region, Deep South Region 2, Great Plains, Rocky Mountains Region, Southwest Region, West Coast Region. No attempt will be made to seal off the Canadian and Mexican borders. You see this? No attempt will be made to seal off the Canadian and Mexican borders. Secretary of Department of Interior. King of England, which y'all, if you don't know, England has a king now. But a lot of people don't understand that private life. They don't pay attention. England has a king now. Start searching it. I'm sure you'll discover some shit. And that's who runs the show over here, basically. But you know, but when the bull is all down, the Pope is the HNIC. The Pope runs the show when it comes to the corporate world, the corporate United States corporation. As a result, he was revered as one of the most noble kings in the history of England. He slaughtered thousands under the disguise of protecting the European religion of Christianity. So he was revered as one of the most noble kings in the history of England. Combined memo, Department of Justice, Federal Bureau of Investigations, and Central Intelligence Agency. There are 12 major minority organizations, and all are familiar to the 22 million. Dossiers have been compiled on the leaders of the organization can be studied in Washington. The material contained in many of the dossiers and our threat to reveal that material has considerably held in check some of the leaders. Leaders who do not have such usable material in their dossiers have been approached to take government posts, mostly as ambassadors in primary and African countries. The promise of these positions also has materially contributed to a temporary slowdown in minority activities. However, we do not expect these slowdowns to be of long duration because there are always new and dissonant elements joining these organizations with this potential power to replace the old leaders. All organizations and their leaders are under constant 24-hour surveillance. The organizations are the Black Muslims, Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committees. You see as number one, Congress of Racial Equality, the Uhuru Movement, I don't know what that is, Group on Advanced Leadership, that's called GO, the Freedom Now Party, United Black Nationalists of America, the New Pan-African Movement, Southern Christian Leadership Conference. Appreciate you, Ralph Harrell, for the donation on the super chat on the YouTube. The National Urban League, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the NAACP. And if you don't know about the NAACP, I'm gonna say the last one. Committee on Racial and Religious Progress. Look, man, you're a school teacher. So do you know who even created the NAACP?
I know it was some Zionists, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I know it was black.
Nobody. If you know that it was nobody in Melanation that started the NAACP, let me know that you know that in the comments below, man. Let me know. But I'm gonna pull that up real quick so y'all know. So y'all know the founders of the NAACP. When I researched this, it blew my mind. Let's pull up. Let's see what Wikipedia says. See if they got some pictures. Hold on a second. But they was all Caucasians. Look, here we go. Then this comes from the Phyllis7thward.org. Finding solutions for all Philadelphia students. So some organizations are committed to a cause. Everyone knows that, what they stand for. So look at Greenpeace. Everybody knows that about reducing human harm to the environment. All of Greenpeace's resources go towards pulling the specific levers that help make an impact on saving the planet. There's no confusion there. Then you have the NAACP organization, like this run around parroting phrases and talking whatever stance happens to suit their highest funder on any given day. To have impact, you need alignment and commitment to a cause. Schizophrenic organizations like the NAACP muddle messages and bumble outcomes. They don't drive, this isn't my words, okay? They don't drive any specific goals. They don't support commitments that they supposedly stand for. It says, but maybe I shouldn't be surprised. The NAACP was started mostly by white people to advance the colored people of America.
True civil rights legend W.E.B. Du Bois was one of the founders, but even he eventually left after becoming disillusioned with the organization for failing to agitate enough and pursuing a propagandic approach. Let's see, we got some chats. Yeah, a lot of people know. A lot of people know. That's good, man. I'm glad y'all know. It says David Levering Lewis, a scholar and historian of W.E.B. Du Bois at New York University, recently showed how disappointed he believed Du Bois would be with today's moral version of the NAACP. Du Bois would, I believe, be disappointed that the NAACP has not led but followed behind the great issue of the 21st century. You guys gotta think about it, man. All these racial issues, what do these charities really do for our people? Nothing. They ain't did shit. You gotta understand, this is why you have to say correct. When you're on the record, never say right, say correct. You follow me? Because if you tell them to give you your civil rights, that's just part of the box. That's the right angle. So you gotta let them know what it is that's correct. If that makes sense, man. If you understand and follow me, put hey, I'll follow you in the comments, man. TJ Nab, man, I appreciate you. They just left a donation in the super chat on the YouTube. I appreciate that, man. The association was beholden to white folks from the beginning. Less than 10 of the 60 founding members of the NAACP were black. We got people saying they overstand. And today, they haven't stumbled far from their original course. Today, white folks still hold tremendous influence over the NAACP, but now much of it through the support of labor unions, 70% of whose members are white. This is what the person put in there as white. We don't call them white because to us, white means purity, purity means God. A lot of different names you could say. But you should have a nationality. Particularly for teacher unions, you'd hope that mostly white members would be aligned with the cause of the oppressed and marginalized of the country. But as far as I can tell from their agenda, they are more aligned with themselves. So reason why we say nationality, because if you say you're white or black, you're going with that agenda, if that makes sense. You're going with that agenda. You gotta understand why they even call it white supremacy. White means purity, purity means God. Supremacy means supreme. So you're calling them supreme gods when you say white supremacy. It's a fictional entity. It's a game. It's like chess. You got the white piece, you got the black piece. You got you in this realm of duality. And this is what they play upon. This is what they play upon. It's one of the universal laws. When you start learning universal laws, you'll understand duality. Another book you could read is like the Hermetic Principles, and that's will help balance out your mind to help you understand this stuff, because they'll just play upon your spirituality, man. They conflict. See, they tell you they go to great lengths to tell your subconscious mind the truth, and they dumb down the flesh. Okay, I'm saying again, they go to great lengths to tell your spirit, your God self, the truth, and they just dumb down the flesh. I'm gonna break this down to you, man, because I know a lot of people were raised Christianity, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's just a different school of thought. Okay, that's just a different path. All right, and you can, if Christianity is taught right, you can reach enlightenment through Christianity. I do believe that if it's taught right, you just gotta read the right shit. But like J was the last letter added to the English alphabet. So you gotta understand, if Jesus was here, if there wasn't Jesus, his name was not Jesus. So to me, how I teach my students is Jesus means he is us. And if you was to close your eyes and you listen to them preach, it is a form of sun worship. He says he's the sun and he brings light to the world. What's the sun do? It brings light to the world. And the darker you are, the more sunlight you have in you, damn it. That's a fact. Go tell. You ever seen a black person sit outside in the fucking sun? They turn dark as fuck. I turn gold. I look Mexican. So it says, but yeah, man, I just want y'all to know, man. NAACP, just like when you send your kids to public school, quit telling your kids, man, I hope you're not telling your kids they're gonna get rich if they go to school. I hope you're not telling your kids they can be anything they want to be by going to school, because they can't. And that's a fact. We got somebody in the chat that says, put everybody and their mama on notice with the standard form 181 form. You see what he's talking about. All right, I got one of those. Yeah, I was just looking at that today. So you can send this to any agency. It's standard form 181. Just Google it. Ethnicity and race identification. I would mark where it says right here. It's telling you pick a category. American Indian or Alaska Native. That's what I put, or I just put white. But you can edit, you can put whatever you want in that though. That's facts. That's what I would just send it in with one of my status correction documents. That's all I would do. Just let them know you're a native. Yeah, original people. I never put AB, because if I said you was abnormal, that means you're not normal. So never put AB in front of anything. Always put that you are the original. Yeah, man, I need y'all. I just want y'all to see that, man. So to be honest, they used Abraham Lincoln to declare martial law. Let me see if it pops up. It popped up in Wikipedia, but I don't like Wikipedia. Proclamation 113, declaring martial law and a further suspension of writ of habeas corpus in Kentucky. So you got to understand, he declared martial law, then he was shot. We've been under martial law since Abraham Lincoln, to be honest. And I apologize to everybody I'm showing the picture, because y'all know what Abraham Lincoln was also melanated. So he placed a proclamation, and we've been under martial law ever since Abraham Lincoln, supposedly. I wasn't alive back then, so I can't tell you. And then I see that there's a habeas corpus suspension act, which makes sense because we always put removal of property. We always put demand for removal of property. Let's see what this says. On the heritage.org. It says Abraham Lincoln and civil liberties in wartime. Abraham Lincoln declared martial law and authorized such forums to try terrorists because military tribunals had the capacity to act quickly to gather intelligence through interrogation and to prevent confidential life-saving information from becoming public. In 1942, the United States Supreme Court decided ex parte query, a case in which prisoners detained for trial by military commission appealed the denial of their motions for writ of habeas corpus. The Supreme Court held that military tribunals are not courts in the sense of the judiciary article of the Constitution. Rather, they are the military's administrative bodies to determine the guilt of declared enemies and pass judgment. Ex parte quorum has since become the foundation of President George W. Bush's claim that the government has the right to hold enemy combatants, even Americans, indefinitely without evidence, charge, or trial. I never thought as a veteran lawyer and now judge with whoever's writing this that I would be living through a situation with the issue of Homeland Security, not to be confused with that new cabinet department and civil liberties, would once again be in conflict as it was during the Civil War. This is what I'm trying to tell you, man. When you update your status, you got to put you are a friend of the United States. This is make sense. This is helping you make sense. George Bush held this up. Listen, if you're an enemy, if you're considered an enemy, they can hold you with indefinitely without evidence, charge, or trial. It says suspending habeas corpus. Lincoln suspended the writ of habeas corpus, a method by which one is in prison can be immediately released if his imprisonment is found not to conform to law. With suspension of the writ, this immediate judicial review of detention became unavailable. The suspension triggered the most heated and serious constitutional disputes of the Lincoln administration. In April 1861, a dissatisfied Marylander named John Merryman dissented from the course being chartered by Lincoln. He expressed his dissent in both words and deed. He spoke out against the Union and in favor of the South and recruited a company of soldiers for the Confederate Army. Thus, he not only exercised his constitutional rights to disagree with what the government was doing, but engaged in raising an armed group to attack and attempt to destroy the government. On May 25th, Merryman was arrested by the military and lodged in Fort McHenry, Baltimore, for various alleged acts of treason. His counsel sought a writ of habeas corpus from Chief Justice Roger B. Taney, alleging that the Merryman was being illegally held at Fort McHenry. Taney issued a writ to Fort Commander George Connolly, directing him to produce Merryman before the court the next day at 11 a.m. Cadwalader respectfully refused on the ground that President Lincoln had authorized the suspension of the writ of habeas corpus. I like, to be honest though, man, like, do you really think if Lincoln freed the slaves that they would be praising him? Think about it, man. We appreciate you dropping a little standing to the group. You dropped the file, check it out. If you what was that?
Is Lincoln turned back on the opinion?
Yeah, that's what they say, ain't it? But that's not his real face, though.
Yeah.
You seen Lincoln's real face, right?
Yeah.
You know, and I learned this from a Mason, because every Mason knows about the real Abraham Lincoln. You see it? That's every Freemason knows this. Every Freemason. Every Freemason knows about the black presidents. They have stand-ins. I mean, we've had, you gotta understand, we've had cameras since the 1800s, man. You understand? So this is why they took your history. This is why they took your culture. You're not supposed to know nothing. So the people that, like, there's real history out there, but you know, they feel like they can't bring it out. The white folks will take it. You feel me? I promise you, there's real black people out there with real history out there. Scared to tell the truth because they know they've done it. It's written in their families, but there's not a lot of families out there that know. There's not a lot of black families that's handing down their heritage. Because listen, man, govern. What does govern mean? Let's define govern. Conduct the policy, actions, affairs of. Require that. To me, it means control. To govern means to control. Emit comes from mentia or mind. You know, you got mental health. Such as dementia, you know, just like when you start saying the words, so like you used to get deliveries, you know, when you used to get milk. Then somebody came along and put D in front of that, special uniform worn by a servant or official. But this is what it used to be called. Then somebody called it delivery, put day in front of it. So it doesn't even mean you're delivering no more. You gotta understand, day, when you put D in front of it, it takes away the meaning. Because there's always meanings for your subconscious mind, and then there's meanings for your conscious mind. And when you understand God, you understand Allah, God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, it speaks to you in signs and symbols and things like that. So this is why when they tell you you're an agent, hey, I'm an agent, you don't get mad, you don't get upset, because A before anything means no. So they tell you they're not a gentleman. No, I'm not a gentleman. Then when they give you a court summons, you can only summons dead people. You follow me? So when you get a summons to court. You know, you gotta understand what court is. You go to court because it's a game. That's the only reason why you go, because it's a game. You know, like a tennis court, basketball court. And it's supposed, you think it's supposed to be on a level playing field. Because this is when the Masonics come into play. And you think it's a level playing field, but it's not. You go in there, you see the judge is setting up higher than you. You understand? And this word, they always ask you where you live and all this shit. We always volunteer the information. Demographics, statistic data relating to the population and particular groups within it. So anytime they ask you about your demographics, these are demon graphics. Demon graphics, the graphs of demons. Anytime, you know, the same way when they ask you if you're human, you know, if you say you're human, that makes you a monster. And monsters can't inherit nothing or hand off nothing to their children. You'll be a slave forever. You're dead. You're considered dead. Because you don't even know who you are. And you're using these words, you're babbling with them. Tell them you went in there and suffered some shit. So like, you know, when you sign anything, if you declare you in any of these boxes, that makes you a dead person. I need y'all to understand that when you sign any box, that makes you a dead person. You sign above the boxes, you don't see no evil. Yeah, I'm glad. At first it didn't make sense for me though. It took me a minute. So I'm going to the lawfully yours now. The Clearfield Doctrine. As all of our government entities listed on Dun & Bradstreet are doing business using private commercial paper, the Federal Reserve Note, they have no more rights or privileges than any other corporations. Because of the private currency we are all forced to use, called the Federal Reserve Notes, and so-called government has lost its sovereignty and has become no different than a mere private corporation. As such, government then become bound by the rules and laws that govern private corporations. Therefore, if they intend to compel an individual to some specific performance based upon their corporate statutes or rules, then they, like any private corporation, must be the holder in due course of a contract or other commercial agreement between it and the one upon who demands for specific performance is made. And further, the government must be willing to enter the contract or commercial agreement into evidence before trying to get the court to enforce its demands called statutes without the contract. Enforcement cannot take place lawfully unless you consent. Then Bond versus United States 529, United States 334. This was in 2000. In 2000, the Supreme Court held that the American people are in fact sovereign and not the states or the government. The court went on to define that local, state, and federal law enforcement officers were committing unlawful actions against the sovereign people by the enforcement of the laws and are personally liable for their actions. The state and federal government is a corporation, therefore the Congress, state legislators, city council, municipalities, and all state and federal courts are corporate entities posing as constitutional branches of government. All laws created by these government corporations are private corporate regulations called public law, statutes, codes, and ordinances to conceal their true nature. Since these government bodies are not sovereign, they cannot promulgate or enforce criminal laws. Corporate governments can only create and enforce civil laws which are duty bound to comply with the laws of contract. So the law of contracts requires signed written agreements and complete transparency. So enforcement of corporate statutes, rules, and regulations by law enforcement officers without full disclosure and written consent are unlawful, and these officers can be held personally liable for their actions. Although summary misdemeanor, felony, and capital offenses are referred to as criminal laws, they are merely civil laws disguised as criminal laws. So see Section 2, the legal process by Judge Dale, retired. What is our government really? A constitutional republic? That's the Bill of Rights, sovereignty, freedom, common law, justice, or a corporate commercial enterprise. State of emergency, executive orders, administrative courts, private currency, the public trust, which is the CECKENSTEINTRUST trust, public officials. Says you probably identify with the corporate process as a legal process, but it really isn't about what is legal or lawful, because all process is about the enforcement of contracts or the imposition and enforcement of corporate regulations called statutes. The best advice you will ever receive is to avoid their courts whenever possible. There is no justice to be found in those courts unless you are a member of the Vatican, the royal or elite, or have purchased diplomatic immunity. It can be purchased. The only constitutional court in America is the International Court of Trade, which was created because no foreign national government would trade with the corporate United States until they provided a way for these foreign nations to enforce the trade agreements with America. Historically, the World Court was created to provide nations with a venue to enforce the trade agreements, but the corporate United States refused the court's invitation to participate because they were denied control over the court. Damn. All of the American courts are pseudo courts or fictions and simply are corporate administrative offices designed to resemble courts, and all the judges are simply executive administrators designed to resemble judges. They're fiduciaries. They're fiduciaries for your trust, and you have to appoint them as such. Seriously. When you start understanding about the trust, and that it's a corporation, and everything's set up for your benefit, then you know how to start appointing the right fiduciaries. It says if either party refuses to participate, these courts cannot become involved, and the dispute is dead in the water. My use of the term dead in the water is not a canon because these pseudo courts are courts of admiralty, the international law of the sea. And they're always going to tell you no, because that's their job. They're not supposed to tell you the truth. But you just keep doing what you're supposed to do anyways, and you'll soon discover that that's what it is. The Washington Monument was completed in 1884 as a tribute to George Washington and his military government, which is actually a sea level of bliss that infers that all America is underwater and thus subject to the laws of admiralty, as opposed to contrary to the intended constitutional civilian government under common law. It says the judges of these pseudo courts have no powers without the consent of both the plaintiff and the defendant. And in every case, the judge must determine that he has consent in subject matter jurisdiction before he can act or access the CECKENSTEINTRUST trust. It says all tradable securities must be assigned a CUSIP number before it can be offered to investors. Birth certificates and Social Security applications are converted into government securities, assigned a CUSIP number, grouped into lots, and are marked as a mutual fund investment. Upon maturity, the profits are moved into a government CECKENSTEINTRUST trust. And if you are still alive, the certified documents are reinvested. It is the funds contained in the CECKENSTEINTRUST trust that the judge, clerk, and county prosecutor are really after or interested in. This trust actually pays off all your debts, but nobody tells you that because the elite consider these assets to be their property. And the Federal Reserve System is responsible for the management of these investments. It says the court registry investment system is the system that connects the courts to the Federal Reserve. Again, it's called the court registry investment system. It says Social Security, SSI, SSD, Medicare, and Medicaid are all financed by the trust. The government makes you pay taxes and a portion of your wages supposedly to pay for these services, which they can borrow at any time for any reason, since they cannot access the CECKENSTEINTRUST to finance their wars or to bail out Wall Street and their Patreon corporations. The public is encouraged to purchase all kinds of insurance protections when the trust actually pays for all physical damages, medical costs, new technology, and death benefits. The hype to purchase insurance is employed to keep us in poverty and profit off our stupidity because the Vatican owns the controlling interest in all insurance companies. Look, and if you don't believe this shit about the medical expense, if you know somebody locked up and they've ever had to sign something for medical, it says charge to their Social Security number. That's going to be the account. If they call you, it's going to say, add money to this offender's trust account now. Add money to this inmate's trust account. It says you may receive a monthly statement from a mortgage company.
All participants.
I'll put you on mute for a second. It's like you were snoring. It says you may receive a monthly statement from a mortgage company, loan company, or utility company, which usually has already been paid for by the trust. Almost all these corporate businesses double dip and hope that you have been conditioned well enough by the credit scams to pay them a second time. Instead of paying that statement next time, sign it approved and mail it back to them. If they then contact you about payment, ask them to send you a true bill instead of a statement, and you'll be gladly paid. A statement document that was due and paid, whereas a true bill represents only what is due. Banks and utility companies have direct access to these CECKENSTEINTRUST trusts, and all they need is your name and Social Security number and signature. Goes in about corporate law. All you gotta do is look this up. This is called Lawfully Yours. Look it up, man. It's a free PDF online. Goes into foreclosures, goes on a lot of things, but that was from Judge Dale, man. I just want to go in, make face with y'all, let y'all know I'm out here. I'm talking about it shows citations, everything, what to do. I appreciate the love, man. If anybody else finds this information valuable, man, you can leave a donation via Cash App SecuredPartyCredit. We got Apple Pay and Google Pay. The number's 407-274-5161. I'm going to be busy tomorrow. I'm in the studio, man, but much peace and love. I'll be checking in live from the studio working on a new single, man. I appreciate the love and support, man, and everybody that showed up, man. Much peace and love. And remember, prosperity is your birthright.
Coming to a city near you soon.